Hello everyone, this is Angel Randan from DSEE 3A. So today we'll be discussing about CPU architecture. So first, what is CPU? The Computer Central Processing Unit, or the CPU, is the portion of a computer that retrieves and executes instructions. The CPU is essentially the brain of a CAD system. It consists of an arithmetic and logic unit, a control unit, and the various registers. The CPU is often simply referred to as the processor. So we have the ENIAC. ENIAC, or the Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, was the first programmable electronic general-purpose digital computer. It was Turing-complete and able to solve a large class of numerical problems and through reprogramming. Next, we have the term bug. A bug refers to an error, fault, or flaw in any computer program or a hardware system. A bug produces unexpected results or causes a system to behave unexpectedly. In short, it is any behavior or result where a program or system gets but it was not designed to do. Next, we have John von Neumann. Von Neumann made a significant contribution to the use of memory in digital computers to store both sequences, instructions, and records. Also, von Neumann contributes to the first draft of the report on the EDVAC, and it was being used until now, the architecture that was being designed by John von Neumann. Next, we have Robert Noyce. Robert Noyce is one of the founder of the Intel, and he received the nickname the Mayor of the Silicon Valley. He is an American engineer and co-inventor of the integrated circuit, a system of interconnected transistors and a single silicon microchip. Here we have the timeline. For the 1968, Intel Corporation was founded by Robert Noyce and Gordon Moore in 1968. For 1971, Intel, with the help of Ted Hoff, introduced the first microprocessor, which is the Intel 4004, on November 15, 1971. Next, we have the 1972 Intel, which introduced the 8008 processor on April 1, 1972. For 1974, Intel's improved the microprocessor chip was introduced on April 1, 1974, and the 8080 became a standard in the computer industry. From 1979 to 2020, Intel introduced different GPU architectures like Pentium, Opteron, Phenom, Duo, and etc. Next, we have the instruction set architecture. An instruction set architecture, or the ISA, is an abstract model of a computer. It also referred to as architecture or computer architecture. ISA can have multiple implementation. It allows software to direct hardware, defines machine language, and it is where the software and the hardware met. Next, we have the microarchitecture. A microarchitecture is a hardware implementation of an ISA, or the instruction set architecture. An ISA is a structure of commands and operation used by the software to communicate with the hardware. A microarchitecture is the hardware circuitry that implements one particular ISA. So what is front end? The term front end refers to the user interface. Front end, front end web development is the practice of converting data to graphical interface through the use of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript so that users can view and interact with that data. Next, we have the backend. Backend means the or the server, application, and database that work behind the scenes to deliver information to the user. The backend refers to the parts of a computer application or a program's code that allow it to operate and that cannot be accessed by a user. Typically, the code is comprised of one or more languages. Next, we have the branch prediction. In computer architecture, a branch predictor or prediction is a digital circuit that tries to guess which way a branch will go before it is known definitely. The purpose of the branch predictor is to improve the flow in the instruction pipeline. Next, we have the speculative execution. The speculative execution is an optimization technique where a computer system performs some tasks that may not be needed. Work is done before it is known whether it is actually needed, so as to prevent a delay that would have to be incurred by doing the work after it is known that is needed. Next, we have the cache. In computing, a cache is a hardware or software component that stores data so that future requests for the data can be served faster. The data stored in the cache might be the result of an earlier computation or a copy of data stored elsewhere. Instruction cache. The instruction cache acts as a buffer memory between the external memory and the DSP or processor. When code executes, the code words of the location requested by the instruction set are copied into the instruction cache for direct access with the core processor. Next, we have the micro-operation and the superscalar execution. In computer central processing units, micro-operation, also known as micro-ops, are the functional or atomic operations of a processor. These are low-level instructions used in some designs to implement complex machine instruction. They generally perform operation on data stored in one or more registers. Next is the superscalar architecture or the execution. It is a method of parallel computing used in many processors. In a superscalar computer, the CPU manages multiple instruction pipelines to execute several instructions concurrently during a clock cycle. Last, we have the register naming. Renaming is a form of pipelining that deals with data dependencies between instructions by renaming the register operands. An assembly language programmer of a compiler species these operands using architectural registers, the registers that are explicit in instruction set architecture. That will be all. Thank you.